Rochelle here, and I'm back to share some yarn goodness with y'all today. So today's video is a little different. Back in, I think it was December 2018, I had put a question out on Instagram and Facebook, and it was like some Q&A questions, and I wanted you all to just ask me anything. Now, I know I am extremely late on this, but 2019 just started off weird, and I was not able to get the video out as quick as I wanted to. But I had an extra hour today, so I'm going to answer you all's questions. Look like there's about 14 of them, and so some of these questions, like I said, were back in December, but they do apply now, but some of these things have already passed. Alright, so let's get started. So, Mama Grizzly 1214 asked, how old were you when you started to crochet? I was very young, probably about 10. If you ask my stepmom, it was probably earlier. But yeah, I think it was about 10 that I started. Between 8 and 10, I started crocheting. Needle Crafter 02 asked, when will you have DK back in stock with more colors? I have DK in the shop now, and actually if you all go to the shop, I am having a 25% off sale. It is Small Business Month, so go check out the shop. Everything is 25% off right now. No coupon code needed. Everything is already marked down, so everything is ready to ship. I have fingering weight, I have DK weight, and I have Adore Worsted, and it's all 100% superwash merino. So go check it out. The sale is going on right now. All right. APL Crafts Handmade asked, I am in love with your MCN. Do you think you'll bring it back? Yes, I hope to bring back MCN in the fall. Of course, MCN does cost quite a bit more to stock, and that's kind of why I hadn't had it. But in the fall, yes, I hope to have MCN available on either fingering weight or DK weight or even Aran weight. I've been thinking of bringing that. So yes, I hope to have DK back in the shop in the fall. So just keep checking my website and continue to follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and you'll receive all of the updates. All right, so let's see. LaShawn Robinson Henderson asked, do you have any tips for future YouTube crochet podcasters? Anything you would have done differently in the beginning? Yes, thank you. This is a very good question. I started my YouTube channel back in August of 2015. It seems like such a long time ago, but I do have a few tips. I have a lot of them, but I'll give you about 5 of them. Okay, let's see. Yeah, 4 or 5. Alright, so the first tip I would say is make sure you have good software for editing. It doesn't have to be fancy. I use Windows Media Maker, and it's important. Editing is really important because if you're like me, you'll have a coughing fit or sneeze or I don't know, anything happen. My dog could start barking, my husband could walk in, the neighbors could be driving by on a big truck. Anything can happen, and you don't necessarily want your listeners to hear all of that. And sometimes, if you're like me, I think I have everything set for my video, and then I realize I forgot something, and then I have to go all the way to the other side of the house to get it, and you know, it's just kind of like that part can be edited out. So definitely have some good editing software. You can still download Windows Media Maker. You can still download that. So yeah, it's really simple. It's a free download. You just Google it. Also, don't compare yourself to other YouTubers. Just because another YouTuber has like 10,000 subscribers and you only have 10, you know, don't put yourself down. I am almost at 4,000, and I've been doing this since August 2015, and you know, some channels grow faster than others. I've been doing this for 4 years, almost 4 years. Yeah, this August will be 4 years. And you know, there are channels that started much later than I did, and they have more subscribers than I did, and it's okay. You know, don't compare yourself to others. Don't become number driven. You know, just make videos that you enjoy, and I think that is the main thing. And even if only your friends and your family and your coworkers watch your channels, that's totally fine. But don't compare yourself to other YouTubers. You'll get there if you continue to consistently make good content. You will get there. So just have fun with your channel. And also, the last thing I would say is share your YouTube videos on social media. You know, if you make a YouTube video, post it on Instagram, post it on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, whatever you can post it, just to kind of get the word out there. Post it everywhere. I mean, if you still have a MySpace, post it there too, okay? Post it everywhere. Let people know when you've made a YouTube video, because just because somebody has a YouTube page doesn't necessarily mean that they have a YouTube page. You know, they may never go on YouTube. Just because somebody has a Facebook page doesn't always mean that they have an Instagram. So post it wherever your social media is set up at, and that will definitely get the word out there. Hashtag yourself if you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, just spread it. That really helps. All right. So the next question is from Busy Nana 52. She said, now that you knit and crochet, which do you prefer and why? This is another really good question. And I enjoy both knitting and crocheting, but crochet is my first love. Crochet, that was my gateway into the yarn world. And so even though I enjoy both of them, crochet is always my first. And I feel like crocheting is extremely underrepresented. And I would love for people to not only learn how to knit, but also learn how to crochet. And if you are a knitter, don't be ashamed to say you crochet. It's totally fine. It's good to know different yarn crafts. There's nothing wrong with it at all. And so yeah, I would love to see crochet in the media more like knitting. And so yeah, I enjoy both knitting and crocheting. What I love about being able to switch back and forth between them is that knitting and crocheting, for me, uses different muscle memory. So if I've been crocheting a long time and one of my fingers starts to get a little sore, I can pick up knitting. Knitting, it has a completely different motion. If I get tired of knitting, because I'm a thrower, I believe that's the English style of knitting. If I get tired of that, then I can switch to crocheting. So I enjoy doing both, but crochet is my first love, and I hope that people will start to appreciate crochet even more and not look down on it, because you know, you can make some awesome things crocheting just like you can knitting. Alright, Stitchin' Kitty asks, what inspires your colorway creations the most? So there's a lot of things, bright colors, nature, music, TV, let's see, sports, all of those things inspire my colorways. I mean, it could be anything, you know. I live in North Carolina, so Sweet Caroline came from all of the North Carolina sports. Blue is a huge sports color here in North Carolina, whether it be Duke, UNC, Carolina Panthers. You know, there's a lot of blue going on in this state. So that's how that colorway came to be. Firestarter, that colorway, of course, to me looks like fire. But I don't know if have you all ever seen the old Drew Barrymore movie Firestarter, when she was like really young? So I was inspired from that. And also I like a lot of comics, Marvel, DC. So, you look at the colorway Star Force. I was inspired by Carol Danvers before she became Captain Marvel. And then I have a colorway called Marvel, which is inspired by her uniform when she switched colors and she became Captain Marvel. So my colorways are inspired by a lot of different things that I just see every day. And I always tell people, if you see a colorway that's inspired by food, most likely my husband named that one, like ramen noodles. No, Top Ramen. He said it looked like ramen noodles. Black cherry. He said it looked like black cherry ice cream. I had a colorway called Hot Fries. He named that one. I have a colorway called Spinach Casserole. He named that one. And a lot of times I just dye the yarn and I have no idea what to name it. And I'll ask him, what should I name it? And he'll just come up with it. He's like, that looks like hot fries, or that looks like spinach casserole. And when he says it, I'm like, it does, I know he came up with Top Ramen. I may have came up with hot fries, but it reminded me of him because he loves hot fries. But anyway, those are the things that my colorways are inspired by, just kind of everyday things that I see. All right, next question. This is Max Stitch by Stephanie. You had your name before you started dyeing yarn. Was it always your plan to dye yarn? No, it was not. It was not my plan, always my plan to learn how to dye yarn. But I wanted to dye yarn because when I would go into the stores, I couldn't find the colorways that I wanted. And so I was like, okay, I should learn to make this myself. And I remember doing one of those goals videos. I think it was like in 2016. I had made it my goal to learn how to dye yarn, and my YouTube channel started before that. So yeah, to answer your question, no, it wasn't always my plan to learn how to dye yarn. It's just kind of something that started off as a hobby, or just something that started off because I wanted certain colorways, and then I just took off with it. People liked what they saw and they wanted to buy it, and so what started off as a hobby became a business. And of course, the name Queen's Yarn Boutique is inspired from my grandmother, whose name was Queen. So yeah, that's how it started. Queen's Yarn Boutique started way before I started dyeing yarn, because before I started dyeing yarn, I used to sell commercial yarn, and I also used to sell like handmade hats and scarves and booties and headbands and all that stuff when I had an Etsy and I had an eBay shop. So Queen's Yarn Boutique came way before the dyeing yarn did. Thank you for that question. The next question is by Tina's Treasures 66. She says, "Hi Rochelle, what has been your biggest challenge as an indie dyer?" This question has so many answers, but to answer your question, I would say the biggest challenge as an indie dyer has to be myself. I am my own worst critic. I can't help it. I had to learn how to stop comparing myself to other yarn dyers. Oh, they're more popular, or more people notice them, or, I wish, I don't know, I would just always compare myself to other yarn dyers, and that is like the worst thing to do. You have to do what's best for you and not compare yourself to other yarn dyers, because, they may get featured more, or they may get mentioned more, or their store has more yarn in it, whatever it could be. I had to stop comparing myself to other people. And that's something that I did like when I first started dyeing yarn. But after about 5 or 6 months of that, I was like, you know what, I have to do what works for me. And I felt like once I let that go, my creativity just blossomed. And that's how I was inspired to do so many colorways, and because I just did my own thing. And I like bright colors, but sometimes people don't want to dye bright colors. I've been told that, oh, well, your colors are nice, but I couldn't make a sweater out of them. Well, that's okay. I try to make different colorways, and some are more neutral, but at the same time, I enjoy bright colors. That's just me. And so I want to make colorways that appeal to everybody, but at the end of the day, I love bright colors, and that is my color palette, and that's what I stick to. Regardless of whether another yarn dyer is selling out every week because he or she makes their colorways in a certain way, I still have to stick to what I like, and I like dyeing bright, deeply saturated colors. And so yeah, that is the thing that I had to learn, was find what you like and stick with it. And that's what I've done, and I've been very happy about that. And I think that any yarn dyer should do that. Stick to what you love. And that's not to say don't be open to suggestions, I'm not saying that at all, but at the same time, don't lose yourself. Let's see, what else did I learn? I also had to learn how to balance finances with having a business, because I was working full time when I started my business, and then I would be dyeing at night and dyeing on the weekend. So just balancing finances and balancing time, it just seemed like I had no time at first, and it took me a while to learn how to say, okay, this amount of money is going to go into the business, or I'm going to put this much time into the business. And it's still something that I'm learning. It's still a work in progress. I've only been in business for about, I'm going on 2 years, almost 2 years, but I'm still learning. But those are some things that I had to learn how to balance when I first went into business. Let's see, what else? Also, learning to deal, learning how to deal with different business relationships. Within my first year and a half of dyeing yarn, like y'all, I have some yarn store owners / trunk show / wholesale horror stories. And I think a lot of it came from me just being naive and new and just so excited that somebody was into my product that I said yes to a lot of things. And now my motto is to say no. I say no way more than I say yes. And of course, sometimes you do lose money in saying no, but it works out in the long run. And it goes back to you not losing yourself and staying true to yourself and your business. But yeah, just being a newbie, being a new yarn dyer, I definitely feel like I got taken advantage of. And you know what? Part of it's my fault too, because I don't know, I guess I was just naive, and I was just so excited about selling yarn and getting my yarn into certain places that I didn't stop to think everything all the way through. So yeah, that's definitely some advice that I would give a yarn dyer. It's just to, before you just be quick to say yes because you're new and you want that exposure, really think about it. Look at the reviews on certain people. Look at people's contracts. Look at everything before you just say, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Just really make sure that you look at everything. That's what's really important. And don't let people take your lack of experience. Don't let them take advantage of that. Educate yourself as best you can. And that's not going to stop you from ever being taken advantage of. But if I could just go back in time and change things, it would definitely be just learning more and more about how business relationships work, and learning that, you think people are always going to be nice and have your best interest in heart, but it's not always the case. And, that's something that I had to get used to. And now I'm better for it. Okay. So my battery is blinking at me, telling me to hurry up. I still have quite a few left. I'll try to blow through these a little quicker. But the Hill Crochet asked, I'm just going to knit. Any suggested patterns or info you would share with a novice? Notes. I am familiar with the heel crochet, and she is definitely, I mean, her knitting is amazing. Of course, this question goes back to like 3 or 4 months ago, or yeah, whenever December was. But I would suggest to you new knitters out there, I would suggest watching Expression Fiber Arts and Very Pink Knits. They helped me out a ton. Their channels are very easy to follow, just really good. Also, I would suggest starting off with like hats and scarves. Dishcloths are great. Anything that's basic and it teaches you like the basic stitches like knit, purl, stuff like that. Knit 2 together, simple decreases, simple increases, bind-offs, cast-ons, just videos like that will definitely help you out. Start with thicker weight yarn. You know, don't start off with the fingering lace mohair yarn when you're first starting. I mean, you can do it, but I just wouldn't suggest it. Also, thicker yarn is better because it's easier to rip back if you make a mistake. Also, keep a crochet hook with you to pick up drop stitches. I'm telling y'all, I dropped a lot of stitches when I first started knitting, and I still drop stitches. But a crochet hook can help you pick up those drop stitches. So just because you're knitting, don't toss the crochet hooks. At least keep one crochet hook with you. Let's see. Be patient. Don't compare yourself to more experienced knitters. It took them a while to get there. We all have a journey. We all have a process. So don't compare yourself to more experienced knitters. It's not going to help you. Don't be pressured to try the latest, hottest thing. If you are a brand new knitter, I wouldn't suggest that you try brioche because it's the new hottest thing to do. Like, learn your basic stitches and work your way up. Let's see. And, you know, learn knitting lingo just like you would have done with crocheting. Learn things like K2 TOG, knit 2 together. M1R, make one right, make one left. YO for yarn over. KTBL, knit through the back loop. Just learn certain things like that. It'll make it easier. And also, I would suggest that when you get a knitting pattern, read the whole pattern through first. So you won't have any surprises and you'll already know the stitches that you need to learn or know. Most patterns will tell you in the beginning which stitches you need, but some don't. And so it's important to read the pattern all the way through first and then proceed to work the pattern. Curry A asks, do you prefer crocheting or knitting more? I answered this question earlier. I do enjoy both, but knitting or crocheting is always going to have a more special place in my heart because that's what I started with. Alright, Sisters Knit and More. What are your dye colors choices inspired from? Why did you start to dye? Are you a self-taught dyer? And what is your absolute favorite Prince song? So a couple of these I've already answered, but yes, I am a self-taught knitter. I taught myself how to knit using YouTube videos. And I took online classes, I read articles online, so all of those things helped me to knit. And I tried to, or all of those things helped me to dye yarn. And I tried to read books, but the books were just like so full of like math and science, and I just wanted to have fun while I was dyeing yarn. And so YouTube videos, reading different articles, those were the greatest help to me. But there are some good books out there you can read on dyeing yarn, and if you're really into the technical stuff, then you know that would be good for you. And yeah, I'm just not, you know, a big math person. I just like to have fun with my dyeing. So yeah, those are some of the things that I use to dye yarn. What is your absolute favorite Prince song? This is a tough one because I love Prince music. But when I was a little bitty girl, my daddy and I would listen to Prince on cassette tapes. And my favorite Prince song would have to be Diamonds and Pearls. If I remember correctly, it was like one of the first Prince songs that I ever heard. And he he had so many amazing songs, but Diamonds and Pearls is my absolute favorite. Of course, there's Adore, and even some of his newer ones from the 3121 album, just Graffiti Bridge, Purple Rain. Even there's some good Prince songs on some of his like kind of out there albums when he was going through the thing where he was, you know, going by the symbol, the Gold album. There's so many Prince songs that I absolutely love. The Beautiful Ones, Under the Cherry Moon. Oh my goodness, there's so many. I could go on and on and on and on with Prince music. Oh, Joy and Repetition. There's so many. Like, I could make a whole YouTube video on just YouTube, just on Prince songs. Alright, so Soul Promise asked, how do the colors on different fibers differ when you dye them? Well, when you dye BFL yarn or superwash merino yarns on the same colors, those yarns are gonna, the saturation level is different on a lot of different yarns that I've noticed. I can dye the same colorway on fingering weight yarn and worsted weight yarn, and the skeins will come out like completely different. And I will actually insert some pictures here just to show you all like how different the yarns are. Okay, so you all just saw the different comparisons. I've noticed that the thicker yarns tend to grab the dye more, like the bulky weights and the worsted weights. Especially like if I'm doing speckling, I have to be a little bit lighter on the speckles with worsted and bulky. But yeah, I've noticed that the thicker yarns tend to grab the dye more. Cashmere yarn grabs dye differently than just BFL or maybe just superwash merino. BFL yarn has a totally different texture than MCN yarn. I've noticed that if I'm soaking MCN yarn in the citric acid dye bath or the citric acid water, I can't leave it in as long. It's a lot of different things. So I've also noticed that yarn that has nylon in it absorbs dye differently than yarn that's 100% superwash merino. So yeah, it depends on the weight of the yarn, the fiber of the yarn, but you can dye the same colorway on two different bases or two different types of fiber contents, and they will turn out differently. And that's the beauty of hand dyed yarn. That's why I always tell people to alternate skeins if you need to, but yeah, I've definitely noticed that when it comes to like the fingering weight and the DK, they may not take up as much dye as worsted or bulky. So of course, my camera cut out on me just like I thought it would. I hadn't charged the battery. Alright, and that's another thing, going back to the YouTube suggestion if you're going to start a channel. Make sure your battery is charged. That's kind of important. But it goes back to why you should have good editing software, because you can kind of merge two clips together. Alright, so moving on. I have two more questions. Kathy Taylor Smith asked, who sparked your liking of yarn crafts? How old were you when you started liking yarn crafts? So my stepmother, Mama Pat, as well as other older women in my life started my love of crafts. Let's see, my stepmom taught me how to sew first, and then I learned how to crochet from her. And also my grandmother had a friend who used to make all these crochet berets. And then my great-grandmother, she would quilt and crochet. So just from a lot of different people, yeah, a lot of different people kind of inspired me and started me on my my yarn journey. So yeah, a lot of people. All right, so the last one, and that was my great-grandma Emma. I still have those. She crocheted me a blanket, and she made a quilt for me. Maybe one day on the channel I will show you all those. Alright, so the last question is by Celeste Dominguez. Will you be at the Carolina Fiber Fest in March? So, like I said, I should have filmed this video a long time ago, but no, I was not vending at the Carolina Fiber Fest this year. I did apply, but I was waitlisted and I didn't get in. For those of you who don't know, the Carolina Fiber Fest is in Raleigh, North Carolina, and it's in March. I think it's towards the. It's more towards the middle to the end of March. They have it every year. It's 3 days, I believe. No, 2 days. But no, I didn't get in this year. I did go, just as a spectator. So, yeah, so if you look back at my last video, I showed off some of the things that I bought while I was there. But I will be vending at the Peace Hill Fiber Festival on Saturday, November the 2nd, and that is in Charles City, Virginia. Yes, and I'm excited. I went there last year. It was the first one, the first Fiber Fest there, and it was great. I had such a great time. Me and my husband went up there, had a wonderful day. It's set on a bed and breakfast. It's beautiful out there. In regards to doing the Carolina Fiber Fest next year, who knows? Who knows? It just kind of depends on how my schedule goes, but we'll see. I mean, it would be great to get in because I'm only like 35 minutes from Raleigh, and so it would be the most local one, but it's really popular. It gets bigger each year, so it's tough to get into, so we shall see. All right, so that is all the questions and answers that I have for you all. Thank you so much for being patient with me, and thank you so much for asking these questions. This was a fun video to make, and just as a reminder, like I said, in my shop right now is a 25% off discount, or sale rather, going on in my shop. It's for Small Business Month, so please go out and support. I would really appreciate that. So, until next time.